die. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very excited and delighted to be with you here this Shabbos on the Dave's Gone By Facebook, your podcast, your programmio of the stream. My name is Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I'm thrilled and delighted. He even has his microphone off. He's all ready. Please welcome to the neighborhood. Let me tell you a little bit about the man who helped form the Vancouver Cultural Orchestra. Who knew there was culture in Vancouver? There is, go figure. And he founded a band called Tzimmes many years ago. Tzimmes, of course, being a Jewish fruity vegetable stew. Basically, I eat it because it has prunes in it and it helps me, But Tzimmes has a retrospective coming out. He's going to tell us all about it. Won't you please welcome to the neighborhood, MOSHE! Was it MOSHE Denburg? Shalom, how are you, MOSHE?
Very well. Rabbi Solomon, it's a pleasure to be with you on this very, very festive Shabbos.
Oh, thank you. It is a pleasure to be with me as well. So, and it's festive. It's almost the Jewish holidays. How, at this point in your life, I know this is Shabbos and you're on the air, so you're not Orthodox. How really. Jewish are you?
Well, I grew up in a rabbinical family, actually. So I'm not terribly observant, but of course, there's a lot of tradition in my family. My father was an Orthodox rabbi, what was then known as a modern Orthodox in Montreal. And an uncle of mine had a long career as a chazan, as a cantor in the States. Actually, he worked in Akron, Ohio for a while, and then in Baltimore. He passed away at the age of 90 a couple of years ago. So I've got a lot of, if you know the word yichus is connection with, legitimacy type of thing, where I have rabbis in the family and cantors and things like that. So there's been a musical streak in the family, an artistic streak. Also, my mother was very artistic, may she rest in peace. And of course, my father had a great singing voice, and my uncle, and so I come by music and musicality somewhat legitimately, or let's say honestly, as they say. And so that's a bit of my background. I grew up in a rabbinical religious background. My first influences were the music of the synagogue.
Did you ever feel tempted to actually become a chazan or a cantor or a rabbi or a moil?
Well, moil is a little bit beyond my ken.
All right, don't be snippy about it.
Good one. Okay, anyway.
But no, since you were in that family, a lot of times the father's the Rebbe or the grandfather's the Rebbe, so the son becomes the Rebbe, etc. You, not quite, or?
Well, not really. I didn't, obviously there was this desire on the part of my father for his sons, we're two brothers, his sons to, continue with the profession somewhat, maybe be a chazan, but I guess it was just not... for a variety of reasons, I didn't go in that direction, right? So I went in a more artistic direction, and I guess I was attracted to some degree by the secular world around me, and so that's how I continued. I developed my career. I also spent a good amount of time in Israel when I was younger.
What is your very first memory of being in Israel?
Well, landing in Israel in 1966, actually, at the age of 17. I'm 72 now. So it was landing there, and it was like everybody breaks into applause. I think we went to El Al, I'm not sure. And then being with some friends who were Israeli friends who basically were helpers in the summer camp, a Hebrew-speaking summer camp that I was part of for my entire youth. And so the first night I was with them and staying there. And that's what I remember. My first memory is just getting to Israel and being in a very different place with a different climate, but still quite familiar because I already spoke Hebrew.
Can I ask how long were you? I'm sure you visited and come back and forth, but did you live in Israel for significant period of time?
I lived for 7 years in Israel at that time. I started my studies and my career in earnest in Israel. In fact, I wrote Hebrew rock songs. One of the first musicians to write Hebrew rock songs.
Was that what was it, Tammy Adler, or what was her name?
That's right. How did you know that?
Because I did some research. How the hell do you think I knew it? What, you think I know Tammy Adler off the top of my head? But yeah,
Rabbi Solomon does research. This is a rabbi from rabbis.
It's in the Talmud. I looked on the Aleph, and there she was, Tammy Adler, 1968, right. A single. Yeah.
That's right. She had a gig with CBS Records, and we were very good friends. And she got me a commission to write 2 songs, and we put out a single.
And you arranged them too, didn't you? Did you work?
Well, they were my pieces. It was Tammy Adler and the Electric Stage. In Hebrew, Habama HaChashmalit.
Right.
That was the name of our beat group. We did all kinds of covers of, we did Beatles, we did Bee Gees, but we also were trying to get into something that was a bit more forward-looking for Israel at that time.
Actually,
and that's it. Yeah.
No, you said, when did you come in? 67 or 68?
66, I went to Israel in September, and then I came back home in 73.
What? Wow. So you were bracketed in a way by 2 of the wars there. You were there.
I did not stay for Yom Kippur War. I was already gone when the Yom Kippur War started in 73, but I was there in Jerusalem for the 6-day war.
What was that like?
Unreal. Unreal.
A little bit more than one word, please.
More than one word.
Memories.
Basically, it was a little scary at the beginning because the attitude of, let's say, Arab media around, they start to broadcast in Israel how Tel Aviv is in flames, and it's just propaganda. So one of the Israelis who was there I was staying in the dormitories of the Hebrew University. I said, "What's going on here?" He says, "No, that's what they say all the time. You don't worry about it." And then, listen to this. So I'm in this bunker of the dormitory with a lot of other people on the first night in Jerusalem, and somebody shows me a paper. It was Ma'ariv or not Haaretz, Ma'ariv or Yediot or something like that. And it says, 120 planes, knocked out on the ground in Egypt. And I got very angry. Why? Because I thought that was a terrible exaggeration. They're using the same kind of propaganda as the Arabs are doing. And basically, it wasn't an exaggeration. They knocked out 400 planes on the ground.
So, but here's also a question for you. You deal in world music as well as Jewish, yes, quote unquote, music, klezmer music. You were a nice Jewish boy from Orthodox family and rabbis. You live in Israel for 7 years. You undergo one war. You leave just before another. How then do you not hate Arabs and Palestinians as your enemy?
Okay, I do not. First of all, hate destroys the hater. So that's psychologically, it's not a very healthy thing to hate if you can avoid it. Obviously,
I can't avoid it.
Yeah, no, you need an outlet. But when I got to Israel, I roomed at the university, the Hebrew University, with an Arab Israeli. An Israeli Arab was my roommate. His name was Salem.
Okay.
So, I got along with him and everything was fine. I didn't, let's put it this way. Arabs, never did anything bad to me personally, right? It is, and you know what? I do think that it's the extremes of any society which actually rule that society and bring it into disrepute. So, it's not the Arabs that I hate, but I hate the policies of Hamas.
Yes, of course.
Their policies to destroy Israel. I hate their policies. The same thing can be said let's say, the Chinese government, the totalitarian, authoritarian Chinese government and the things that they're doing. I don't exactly like that, but I have a lot of Chinese friends, especially artist friends, whom I love and who love me. And I've written music for them and they've played music with me, and they also don't exactly love the Chinese government.
When you actually when you play Chinese music, do you hear it and then an hour later you have to hear it again?
Very good.
Thank you.
That was very, very good. I might use that.
Go ahead. Yeah, and then they'll hate you. But here's a question: what was your first instrument? Piano? Because we see you mostly on guitar. But what was your what did you learn when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, well, the truth is, I was an autodidact. When I was a kid, I was self-taught.
That's your personal business.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, that is your own personal. What you do in the bathroom with Kleenex?
No, basically, I studied a little piano, but I took the guitar. My mother got me a guitar when I was about 14 or whatever, and I wrote a song on it right away. So that's it. I knew 2 chords. Anyway, the point was, I don't want to, let's say, pound my own drum too much, Rabbi. It's not nice. Yeah. It's not nice. But the truth is that I learned guitar a lot, and I'd say my first instrument was my voice. I could sing, right? And I still sing. And then as a composer, you see, the thing with a composer is you play all the instruments, but in your brain, right? And on the page. So to compose means that you're unlimited in terms of the instruments you can play. But of course, you just have to imagine them and understand their techniques, and then somebody who actually has studied the instrument can play it.
But you also have to separate, if you're arranging, you have to separate it out. So we can listen to a great rock and roll song, and once it's already done, it's, oh my God, listen to the guitar part here and the bass. If you listen one time and you just concentrate on the bass, it's like do 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 do. Oh, that's really cool. And then we can just on the drum. But as a composer, you kind of got to hear them all and then write them out separately. I find that absolutely fascinating and impossible for.
Basically, it's a little bit mythologized. I'd say that it's a lot more mundane, or it's more of a craft than this great big inspiration. Not that you don't have these moments of inspiration where you hear a whole thing and then you have to take it apart and find out, okay, which instrument needs to do this and which instrument needs to do that. But to really have the conception live and sort of born, fully formed in your mind is a little more rare than what people understand. Basically, you begin with elements. There's 3 basic elements in music. There's melody, there's harmony in the Western world, and there is rhythm. So you can work with these different elements and ask yourself what the different instruments that you're writing for can actually achieve. And then you start to work it through. And then you start getting a plan. It's a process. That's why it's called a craft. It's an art also, of course, first of all. But it is a bit more, mundane than this, the great inspiration that Beethoven looking at the moon and then writing this piece, Claire la Lune, or something like that.
And he was half deaf, so that was even.
That is an incredible achievement, because he did have to internalize a lot of stuff, especially as he got more and more deaf. He had to internalize all of this stuff, and I've done that. Every composer does that, but he had to do it to an extreme. So
there was actually, what was it, late in his life? Yeah, they asked Ludwig van Beethoven, how do you do it? And he said, what? So that was the. I don't know what that means. So how long, when you write a new piece, I mean, you don't do symphony, I mean, you do fairly shorter work, like 5 to 10 minutes are your pieces. How long does it take you from having an idea, oh, I have a song, or I have a composition, we'll call it, to sheet music written, ready for an orchestra or a quartet or something to play?
It varies tremendously. Yeah. It varies tremendously because something can go through a lot of evolution. For a song form, for example, let's say the title track of the new Tzimmes album, The Road Never Traveled. I wrote it, in around 2005, 2004. So I'm playing it and working it and this, but until I recorded it in 2019, I was still working on some of the riffs and stuff like that, and then adding the instruments. So it develops over time. There's a very good story of Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan meeting once. So Bob Dylan said to Leonard Cohen, I like this certain piece of yours. So Leonard Cohen said to him, I worked on that one for about 8 months, just to get it right. And Bob Dylan says, oh, yeah, very nice. And Leonard Cohen wanted to return the compliment. So he said to Bob Dylan, and that piece of yours really, really, it's a great piece. How long did it take? How long did you take to write that? So Dylan says, 10 minutes.
And it doesn't mean one is better than the other.
Exactly. Time is suspended in the moment of creation, you might say, which is a philosophical and a very artistic thing to say. It's a psychological, philosophical. It basically, to me, it encapsulates the actual originality moment for an artist.
I love that. And by the way, speaking of an artist and time being suspended, we are spending some time here with MOSHE Denburg. He is the creator of the band Tzimmes, which is it's a 2 record. What are you putting them on? CDs, records, 8-track?
Well, it's also in hard copy. It's not an LP, it's CDs. Yeah.
The CD, all right.
2 discs. Yeah, 2 discs.
And it's also available like Amazon, Spotify, the usual.
It will be available Amazon, Spotify, but right now it's available on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. Oh my gosh. Bandcamp. Yeah.
Bandcamp is a great platform. So, and also, of course, on the Tzimmes website,
which is Tzimmes.com.
Tzimmes.net, but you have to spell Tzimmes the way we spell Tzimmes, which is T as in Tom, Z, as you Americans say.
Z, yes.
Z, yeah. T-Z-I, double M as in mother, E-S, Tzimmes, right? Tzimmes.
N as in Nudnik, E as in earth, and T as in think. So it is .net there.
That's it. If you look Tzimmes.net, you'll see the cover right away. You'll see there's some tracks there that you could listen to immediately, even download them if you want, and you'll see everything about the new album.
Is it all new music, or is it collated? Is it like a greatest hits thing, or is it no? It's a brand new album, even though some of the pieces were written a while.
Yeah, it's hard. It's you see, it's a compilation of things that mostly of stuff that I'd never released before. Some of the stuff was written before. It's not, written just recently, but recently, meaning over the last 20 years, most of it is that, there's mostly original pieces, either original music or original arrangements. It is a combination of secular and liturgical. So the disc 1, in fact, has a love song on it. It has actually an original arrangement of mine, which I played and sung for 50 years of the Beatles in my life.
Oh, yes.
And then The Road Never Traveled, which has a deeper meaning. It's a bit more spiritualized, or let's say, heart and soul kind of message. That's in English and has a secular sort of, musical setting. But then you got your straightforward klezmer piece, like what's a piece called Moishes Freilach. And then on the second disc, it's subtitled Liturgy Lane. Liturgy Lane. Right up your alley, Rabbi Solomon.
Yeah, Liturgy Lane.
Rabbi Solomon. And basically over there is basically almost all pieces that are music that is based on word texts from the Torah and the Siddur, from the Torah and the prayer book.
Why? Here's a question for you. Why, as American-ish people, that we are is we understand the Western canon. We like popular music. We like the pentatonics, or no, what scale do we normally use? What the hell is the normal?
It's diatonic.
We use the diatonic.
The diatonic major, minor scales. Yeah.
Why is it so hard, except as like a brief novelty? Is it so tough for us, as people, not you, but regular people, to get into Eastern music, or with different scales and the pentatonic and the 5 this and the 7 that? Why are we so addicted to this that we know, and it is, and we can listen for 5 minutes to something else and oh, that's interesting, but okay, let's get back to like what our 12 scale, 12 tone, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, well, it is called acculturation. Now, what it means is that when we listen to something and we get it into us, it actually colors the mind. Ravi Shankar, interestingly, is called the raga. The raga is like a mode in India, that which colors the mind. So what I take from that, it's not just that mode, but any mode of music making. We're utilizing modes in the West too. I mean, it's a major scale or a minor scale and stuff like that. And that which we allow to color our minds, that's where we start to live. And to go outside of that is a little uncomfortable. It's like going outside in the cold and you don't know what it's about. Now, if you are so motivated to go outside for a little while, then you might discover something completely new. And that's when something interesting happens. So people do fall in love with Indian music who didn't grow up with it, or do fall in love with Arabic music who didn't grow up with it. I'll give you another little idea that might explain this. In Arabic and Persian and Turkish music, in other words, the music of the Middle East and the Near East, they utilize what's called quarter tones. I like to call them microtones because it's not exactly quarter anyways. Good musicians.
If you could speak a little louder into the microphone, that would be really helpful.
You got it. So basically, when we hear these things, now, Jewish musicians who grew up there or who are studying Arabic music, and there's a lot of them in Israel, right? And all over the world too, in New York, wherever, they, of course, have acculturated to it. And it's a beautiful thing once you hear it. But if you're used to Western harmony and major minor tonalities, you listen to this, say, this is out of tune. It's not. It's coloring the note a certain way. And normal people like you and me.
Well, I'm not normal, but okay, yes.
Okay, you know what I mean. It's a euphemism, you know.
Yes. I'll do the jokes. Thank you very much. But yeah,
anyway,
normal people, we're just
normal people like us will be able to sing in those modes from those places. They don't have to be great musicians because it is what colored their minds for a certain period of time. So that is what happens the world over. The music changes, and what you feel is home for you, you don't like to leave there. And that's what happens with the music, because it is a state of mind. It's a psychoacoustical phenomenon. That is my complete answer to your question.
That's a psychoacoustical phenomenon. I've been called a psycho kook, but that's a very different thing quite there. Hey, by the way, I have a quick question. When I do Google you, as opposed to going to Tzimmes.net, Tzimmes.net, and I look for you, there is a Rabbi, MOSHE DENBURG. Do you get his mail?
No, what happened here? He's a second cousin of mine. He actually.
Oh, no, really?
I have Lubavitchers in my family, Chabad in my family, and he is the son of he's a second cousin, and he goes by the name of Rabbi MOSHE DENBURG, spelled the same way. Moshe, of course, I go by the name Moshe. Right. But he is a rabbi in Boca Raton. Wow. Chabad rabbi in Boca Raton. He's like a part of the Chabad. I don't know exactly everything he does, but he was his father, who just passed away at the age of, I think, 98 or 97 this last year. He was a beloved member of the family, Leba Denberg. So, that's part of my family.
I had no idea. Actually, when I asked the question, it was just to be fine. It was, oh my God, it's a second cousin. That's
yeah. People look me up and say, Are you a rabbi?
There you go.
Not yet.
No, you could pass with a yarmulke and the beard. Let me. Do you have a family of your own? Are you married? Do you have little tight?
No, I have a wonderful dedicated partner for 23 years. After 23 years, you're dedicated or you're dead. Okay, so this is it. But I don't have kids of my own.
Was that a choice because of music? Did you realize
I
I'm going to be
think that it just, yeah, it kind of evolved that way because, the way I look at it is there's a certain moment, a certain time in a person's life when the social constructs and their biological constructs come together and they get married and they have kids and stuff like that. For me, it was a little bit because of music, and I went a little farther afield, and then it just didn't come together in that manner. And so I'm not saying I missed out because I didn't miss out. I was very happy to continue with my artistic path, and so that's the story. I think you got it pretty right. The music took over.
And speaking of music, since you were composing and now you've been putting together this album, is that what got you through a pandemic in terms of not touring, not going up there and doing concerts and stuff?
Yep.
What did I do for a year and a half? Put together the album and what?
Yeah, well, I got very, very lucky. At the beginning of the pandemic, just a week before the pandemic was announced here in Canada, I got a commission through what's called the Canada Council here to compose a piece of music for a Chinese orchestra in Taiwan, and also the same piece for. In fact, you were playing for the orchid ensemble. Or no, you were playing Red Chamber. Sorry. So anyway, for another organization in Vancouver, and so I was gainfully employed, sitting at my desk composing during the first year of the pandemic.
Are you going to go out and
also? Yeah, go ahead.
Are you going to, like, and we've got Delta now, but do you foresee in 2022 going out there again and doing tours and going to countries? And
touring is not on my agenda. I mean, basically, my work is as a composer. Of course, I compose for other ensembles. I still have commissions that people want to get from me, and also for the Vancouver Intercultural Orchestra, composing, arranging different things. And also, I still have some juice to put out for Tzimmes and put out some other songs, and record them. So I'm more recording, producing, composing, and that's what my life is about. Of course, with Tzimmes, we'll do gigs, in different configurations, and hopefully in 2022, if things really do subside, we can do a belated CD release concert. But touring is not on my agenda. As a composer, yeah, I can go. I'm invited to Taiwan for a remounting of one of the pieces that I wrote for them.
Wow! And we have just a moment or two left with you before you stay, and then we bring Dave in, the producer of the show, to do the trivia quiz. But you've spent significant time, I guess, in China and India as well. Do you have any amazing stories from either of those countries?
Well, India was the main place where I feel that I received some seminal understanding both of music and just of myself and the world around me. I spent a good amount of time in India, 2 trips to India, one for about 6 months, one for 7 months, where I studied the music of India. And that's sort of, expanded my horizons tremendously. It was in Madras, now called by its original name, Chennai, in the south of India. And so I studied South Indian music, classical South Indian music. And that was a very important experience. But as far as an amazing sort of, experience, I'd say that I was in my early 30s, and I trekked in the Garhwal Himalaya. I trekked with a bunch of Frenchmen that we went together. It is a place called Zanskar, which is just down from Ladakh and Tibet. But it's in the Indian part of Kashmir. Now, I don't know whether it's dangerous to go there, but at that time in 1982, 83, it was okay. And all I can say is that that was, when you go trekking in the Himalaya, and for 3 weeks, and you're going and looking at mountains that are towering above you at 20,000 feet, and you're walking at 14,000, that is a significant experience that one does not forget.
Wow. Well, we are having an experience that we will not forget with Moshe. Oh, I so much want to call you Moshe, but Moshe.
You're allowed to call me Moshe. My childhood friends still call me Moshe.
There you go. Moshe Denburg. Check out Tzimmes.net for his new album, well, the band's new album, The Road Never Traveled, with 2 L's, because it's a European sort of thing. Road Never... I can't tell you.
Perfect. British. British Canadian.
Let's hear a little bit more of Moshe's music before I bring in Dave Lefkowitz, who is the founder of this program, to start the quiz. But I want to thank you so much, Moshe. You've been delightful. It has been absolutely an honor and wonderful talking to you on this show.
It's wonderful to talk to you. It has fulfilled all my expectations.
And not more?
More.
Here's some music. Eventually. It was a YouTube clip. It takes a while. Come on, damn it. No. This is called The Longing Sky, and we're longing for it to start. The hell? Did I? Oh, I potted down the sound, that's why. There you go. Here comes Dave. A little bit of Moshe Denburg here on Dave's Gone By. Oh, he said, wow, he got so excited he turned blue right in front of our eyes. Look at that. He's actually glowing.
Do you want a different color? I'll put on the light. Just a second.
It's like you dipped yourself in phosphorus. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. This program is Dave's Gone By. It is 11:03 in the morning Eastern Time. You're watching our 813th episode of the program. We're calling it Mosh Pit, or a bit more like Mosh Pit. Ha ha ha! He gets it. And we're waiting for our guests who play the weekly Today, Yesterday trivia game to join us. Amazingly enough, Leslie is trying to log on. I'm hoping that she will be able to. I'm not hearing yet from David Sheward, I should say, who is our other weekly panelist. So I'm just going to type to both of them time for the quiz and send that. I know Leslie is trying to come on. So let me, while they're coming on, since they know the rules of the game, let me tell you, Moshe Denburg, the rules of the game. And by the way, do you have, by any chance, a pen, pencil, or writing implement and a scratch piece of paper?
Let me get it.
Yeah. While you do that, I'll remind everybody that you can find our archives at davesgoneby.com, DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. This is Leslie, looking all made up and really, really nice. And make sure that you unmute, Les, but I can see you. Unmute.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Leslie Hoban.
Hi.
How are you? And
I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello,
you're here before David is. Let me make an introduction.
Yes, please. I want trumpets. I'm here before David is.
There won't be trumpets. Well, we are trumpeting the arrival of Moshe Denburg, who is...
Hello, Moshe.
Hello, Leslie.
Musician, world musician, klezmer musician. How would you describe a composer?
If you were to get my light, I didn't put my light on.
Oh, go for it, Les. Moshe, how would you describe yourself? You would say a musician, composer. What would be your first?
Well, I'd say composer, a songwriter.
So, okay.
Basically, I've always had four professions: composer, performer, arts administrator,
Oh,
and piano tuner.
and the
like
last
that
one is
last
what
one.
paid the bills from the other four. Well, arts
No
administrator.
kidding. No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I looked you up, Moshe, I have to say. I was very impressed.
Oh, thank you very much, Leslie. You didn't just
My
find
pleasure.
my second cousin in Boca Raton.
Yeah, there's another Moshe who's a rabbi who's not him. In fact, that was the guy we were supposed to get on the show. I'm so disappointed.
Oh, I see.
I'm just.
I would
I'm
have
just-
loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen Rabbi Sol and Rabbi Moshe. That would have been very intriguing.
But Rabbi
Well,
Sol with this
that's
Moshe
why-
turned out to be wonderful. So it was great to have him. Welcome also, by the way, David Sheward, our regular panelist. How are you doing, David?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Let me introduce you to MOSHE DENBURG, the composer,
Shalom, David.
yeah, musician. Leslie Hoban Blake, also in the neighborhood, all here to play
Musician.
today, yesterday quiz. So, well, real quick, a little bit of introduction. How are you guys all doing? Well, we've been talking to Moshe, but what about you, Dave? How was your week?
Okay. The summer is winding down.
Yeah. You teaching yet, or not until after Labor Day?
We go back a few days after Labor Day because the Jewish holidays are very, very early this year. So I'll go back the Thursday after Labor Day, and the students go back the Monday after Labor Day.
You know, David, I taught before they gave those days as a holiday.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was teaching, we went back the day after Labor Day, whatever day that was. Even if it was a Saturday, we went back the day after Labor Day. So be very
Yes.
grateful that the
Yeah.
union fought to get that, you know?
And we get lunar.
I know.
we get
That's
lunar-
all since. That's all since, right?
We get a lot of
People
holidays.
looked around and went, wait a minute, if they can do it,
Yeah.
we can do
What do
it.
you guys do? What are your professions or occupations, Leslie?
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leslie.
No, I was gonna say that was Dave's job, and he didn't do it.
Oh, to introduce us. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
okay, thank you, Leslie. Let me
That's all right. I
introduce
could
everyone more.
introduce David if David will introduce me. I mean, that's okay.
Here we go. David Sheward is the former president of the Drama Desk. He's also been a theater critic for 30, 40 years, but he's now teaching in a high school, and you're teaching English and history as well, just English at the moment.
It depends. I teach ISS, which is Instructional Support Services. So
For special ed, right?
special ed. So I teach both English and also whatever subject they need ISS support in. So far I've taught math, history, science.
Helmet care. No, I can't. That's terrible.
David,
I know. Just teasing.
go into the
Leslie Hoban
second
Blake
corner, David.
is a theatrical director, or has been for many years, and is also a theater critic. She is the historian of the Drama Desk. Did I miss anything there? You were an actress for a bit too. Oh, Leslie, we lost your mic.
You've muted yourself. You've muted yourself, hon.
She's looking. She's trying to find. Nope,
It's
still
like
mute.
now
Still
she's
mute.
Talking and nothing's coming out.
Isn't that
The
the way you
ideal
like
woman.
it, David? That's the way you like. You've never complained before.
No.
Oh,
No, what I was trying to say was, and somehow I gesticulated and hit something. I was also David's vice president at the Drama Desk. I was the longest running. Like, am I off again?
No. I was saying David
you-
Sheward, not me, David. David
I was
Sheward.
about to
David
say you were
Sheward,
the longest
vice
running
president.
something.
But I was also the longest running vice president in the history of the Drama Desk. David, were you the president when I went on the board? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think you were, if you joined or you were already on.
Who was before you?
Peter Felicia.
No, then it was you, because I never served under Peter Felicia.
That's what he said.
I know. And I always thought he was so cute too. I mean, it was just,
are you guys in the New York area?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yes.
All their lives, pretty much. Yeah. And
I'm
where
in
are you?
Manhattan.
Are you East Coast, or where are you now?
Well, basically, I grew up in Montreal. My mother was from Flatbush, but my father's from Montreal, and we grew up in Montreal. And right now, I am on the opposite coast. I'm calling in from Vancouver.
Oh,
Thank you for waking up so early to be with us on in the day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I almost cursed.
So you went from a francophone country to an anglophone
that's
country.
why.
Well, yes and no. Of course, I grew up in a francophone environment. It's become even more francophonized, and I still
Oh,
love
I know.
it.
I used to cover the Montreal Film Festival when it
Is that so?
existed, when there was a Montreal Film
Like a
Festival.
Franco.
Oh, I
And
get
when
it.
when it went to
I
French,
got it.
when they insisted on having everything translated into French, they shot themselves in the foot, also the hip, the nose, and the heart at the same time.
Every single
and-
limb.
And everybody had to speak French, and there were kids there who had never spoken French. Yes, aside from adults, there were kids who grew up in this supposedly bilingual country who never spoke. I watched it disintegrate. I'm sure that you did the same.
Well, there's still a very good, strong Jewish community there. And interestingly, it's all the Sephardi Jewish immigrants, like whether it's, North African Jews, right? Because they all spoke French in Morocco. So they come to Montreal and they easily integrate. But I'd say one thing on behalf of the Francophones in my home province of Quebec. They are a French fact, a French cultural fact in a sea of Anglicization. And if you think of even our Jewish, tradition, we try to preserve, it's a natural thing to try to preserve your own identity, right?
Yeah.
So it's the way they're doing it that's the problem, but but to actually preserve the French cultural identity in North America, I don't object to that.
Actually, it just occurred to me, we had, and it's not a joke, we had a couple of weeks ago on the show a Canadian comedian named Rochelle Ellie. And she's been doing stuff in English for years. And then she only in the past few years, decided, she started doing stand-up comedy in French as well, really? French language stand-up. Wow. And it was a decision that she made as a Canadian to do that too. So that was kind of anyway. We have a game.
I just want to correct any impression that I was against the speaking of French anywhere.
No, I know
but,
that. Leslie.
But my contention was that when I went to Montreal initially, it was a bilingual city. Yeah. Again, Montreal is my point of reference. I know Toronto as well, but I was there every year for about 6 or 7 years in a row, and then it began to change, and then the things that had been wonderful about it, because it was mandated, because it was not a natural thing, and because people were not allowed anymore.
Yeah.
In other words, it was the anti-colonialization of
yeah, no, I understand. I felt that too. I think it's a bit better now. I mean, the bilingual aspect of Montreal depends where you go, but basically it's still a very bilingual city. But at any rate, I haven't lived there for a while. So
I have to ask you a big question in that case. Did you know Leonard Cohen?
Well, some of my friends, I mean, I had already gone off to Israel, but when I was 17, but some of my friends there's another story that I could tell, but I'm not going to take up too much of Dave's time. But some of my friends actually interviewed Leonard Cohen when they were in high school or later high school for their, or early university. So yes, Leonard Cohen was an important presence in the life of the
on Mont-Royal, right? On Mont-Royal.
Mont-Royal is actually it's Mount Royal, which is how Montreal comes from, right?
Right.
And well, the female interviewees he mounted royally, I believe. So there you go. Thank you very much.
Moshe, I thought if we talked enough about other things, he wouldn't do anything. But you can't stop him. Can't stop him. No.
We forgive him for this.
Thank you.
We love him.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. Thank you, David Sheward. Thank you, Moshe Denburg, for being here to play. Oh, yeah, we're here to play a game, remember? It's called the Today Yesterday Quiz. I will tell Moshe the rules, because he doesn't know yet, the rules really quickly. It's a trivia game. Each question is worth 2 points if you get it right. If you get the question wrong, one of the other contestants gets to steal if they answer it correctly and get those 2 points. And there's a couple of other things along the way. But the first thing I need Moshe to do as our new special guest in the neighborhood is kindly pick a number from 1 to 6 and tell me what it is.
5.
5, my favorite number. Okay, Moshe with 5. Leslie Hoban Blake, since you are the female of the group, last I checked, what number would you like?
Wait, last I checked 2. Okay.
I think you're right.
I'll go for 2 this week.
Well, I'm sorry, was that 2?
2.
2. Leslie, number 2. David Sheward?
3.
3. David goes for 3. Now, what I'm going to do, Moshe, is I have a digital, it's just a website called Roll a Die, and it allows me to roll a digital one single die with 1 to 6 on it. And this will tell us, let's see what it'll tell us. First of all, it came up with a number 3. So, David Sheward gets to pick. Do you want to be first, second, or third?
I'll be first.
David Sheward chooses to be first because his number was 3. I rolled a 3, so he gets it. I'm going to roll again. This time it comes up number 2. Leslie, do you want to be second or third?
Oh, I want to be second, please. Thank
Leslie
you.
gets second.
I really want to be first, but that never ever happens.
Well, Moshe, which is kind of cool because you get to see how this thing works. The third question, there will be 3 rounds of each person getting a question per round, and then if necessary, a tiebreaker, or even if it's unnecessary, a tiebreaker. That's what your pen and paper are for. So, are you?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Since Moshe is going third, Moshe should be given at least 1 point for understanding how it plays if he watches us play. Because
Such an honor. Such an honor.
If you figure the game out, you're entitled to a point.
It's not that difficult.
Is it? Well, questions can be, but
watching us do it.
If there's too much Americana in it, I'm gonna cry foul.
The playing of the rules are not that difficult. The questions are difficult.
Can be different. So that's also, we tell every guest, and this is absolutely the truth. If you even get like 2 points, that's doing amazingly well in this game. Because some of the questions are pretty normal trivia, and others are like, oh, nobody knows this, just guess. And they're just fun to ask and to think about. So
did you hear Moshe's point just now about too much Americana?
Well,
did you hear that?
That's minus 1 point right there.
It's okay, I'll go for it.
Well, we're going to go for it to start the game with our first round, and the first question will go to David Sheward, who rolled the die and elected to go first. We do the die roll to keep it really fair, because the questions are written out, but nobody knows beforehand who will get what question. So in this case, David Sheward is going first. Are you ready, David?
Yes.
The year was 1609. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to tell Moshe is that every question in some level, nearly all the questions, have to do with something that occurred in history on this date. So August 28th, whatever the year. 1609.
Except he's not telling you quite the truth, because that's the original way it started. And then that becomes a jumping off point. So whatever that question is, he then goes into God knows where, which makes it a lot of fun.
You'll see. You'll see.
You'll see.
Thank you for the midrash, Leslie.
Go ahead.
David Sheward, the year was 1609. You remember it well.
Yes.
And this is a multiple choice. Sailing for the Dutch East India Company, Henry Hudson founds and explores Delaware Bay. Speaking of Hudsons, this question is about Garth Hudson, multi-instrumentalist and organist for the band. Okay, you were right, Leslie. It does go pretty far afield. During his early...
band has Canadian roots, so Moshe should be happy, right?
There's a bit of Canadian there for sure.
Right.
During his early and later career, Garth Hudson was in some other bands, including all but one of these. A, the Lowlands. B, the Best. C, the Capers. D, Burrito Deluxe.
So which one of those is not a band that he was in?
Right.
Now, they may be real bands, but maybe he wasn't in them. The one. He was not in one of them. He was in all of them but one.
Exactly.
Now, the obvious answer is Burrito Deluxe, because it's such a stupid name that...
I agree.
And that means that's one that he's definitely in. So, or that leads me to believe that. So it's the Best.
Reverse psychology.
The Best, and what else?
I'll read them again. Yeah. One of these was a band that Garth Hudson was not in besides the band. Was it A, the Lowlands, B, the Best, C, the Capers, D, Burrito Deluxe?
Jeez. It could be anyone, this is just luck. So the best, the capers. What was the second one?
Oh, the first one was the lowlands,
The lowlands, the best,
the capers,
or
burrito deluxe.
Burrito deluxe. Well, I think it's okay. Burrito deluxe has got to be one of them. That's got to be one of them. It has to be. It's too crazy. So I just have to guess one of the remaining three, and I'm gonna guess the best. Sounds like it's a real name. The capers, and these could all be real, and he wouldn't have been in them. Burrito deluxe could be real, and he wouldn't be in them. You know what? I'm just gonna guess and say the capers.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, it is.
Well, I'm afraid you were not able to solve this particular caper.
Okay.
That is an actual band that Garth Hudson was in. So we're going to roll the die and see if one of our other contestants can steal this question. The next comes up a 1, which is closer to Leslie than to Moshe. So Leslie, do you want to try and steal this question?
Oh, sure. I totally agree with David about Burrito Deluxe sounding like a fake, which means it's obviously not. But the pure simplicity of the name The Band makes me feel that he might have had a much more simple previous band. So I'm left with...
I'll read the answer. A, the lowlands, B, the best, or D, Burrito Deluxe.
Did he not just say which one did David
We knocked out the capers.
I said the capers.
The capers. Then I will go with that he was not in. Was not negative, was not in.
Not in.
I will take the obvious one. I will take Burrito Deluxe because I have no idea.
Is that your final answer?
Sure, why not?
Well, I'm afraid you are not on a roll. Burrito Deluxe was an actual band. They were actually an offshoot of a well-known band called the Flying Burrito Brothers. So
That one
anyway,
I heard of. Okay.
Moshe, you have a shot at getting.
I'm going to go for the lowlands. I'm going to say that is not a band he was in.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
We'll take that playing in for a landing. That is correct. Moshe, Lowlands is, I made that up. I mean, there may be a band called the Lowlands, but it's nothing to do with Garth Hudson. Yay! You are already on the board leading the game. So Garth Hudson was in an early band called Paul London and the Capers. And
pure luck.
And in his later years, he and his wife,
take it.
Take the luck, believe me. He and Garth Hudson and his wife created a band called The Best with like an exclamation point on the end of it. So I think they're still in that band, or he's alive? I think he's alive. He's one of the few band people alive. But anywho, well done.
Don't say that 2 days after Charlie Watts passed. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, Robbie Robertson is still a very big name here.
As well, he should be. I adore Robbie Robertson.
Yeah. Excellent musician.
Have you ever played with him?
No, I have not had that honor.
Okay, just so no Leonard Cohen stories, no Robbie Robertson stories, any Serge
I told you a Leonard Cohen story.
How many other Canadians? Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, ever?
He has a Leonard Cohen story.
You have a Leonard Cohen story, Leslie?
No, I thought you said you have one. No,
I told it.
I just have his book and all his albums. I don't have a story.
Well, who are the Canadian? Charles Dutoit? Any stories about him? I don't know.
Charles Dutoit. Now you're getting into unsafe territory.
Why?
But are we going to let him tell his Leonard Cohen story?
He did, Leslie. The story was just about the journalist.
That was. I'm sorry. I thought there was another story. Sorry. Okay. Yes, I heard that story.
Got it.
There's a lot of Canadian artists in the United States. A lot of Americans don't know who the Canadians are.
It's best because we hurt them if we did.
Alex Dave Lefkowitz,
I'm sorry?
Serge Gainsbourg was not
Canadian. I don't know why I brought him up. It was the French thing. Okay. I know. But anywho, let's move on. Let's move on to more of the game.
We should, yeah.
Moshe has 2 points, but hey, it's very, very early in the game. And now Leslie has a shot of tying Moshe. So Leslie, are you ready for your question, which is
What
also
do I get to tie him to? Never mind.
Uh,
Ha, ha,
No.
ha.
I can't believe you
Oh,
roped me into
no.
that one. All right, here we go.
Mr. Peabody,
Sorry,
this is infecting.
sorry. You can't leave those things hanging.
That's
Mr.
what she said. All
Peabody.
right, here we go. 1837 was the year, Leslie. And everybody, you got to pay attention, everybody, to everybody else's question because you don't get to steal it. 1837 is the question. Two pharmacists, John Lay and William Perrins, begin manufacturing their new invention, Worcestershire sauce. Which of these is not true about Worcestershire sauce?
Okay.
A, since 1890, the factory making Worcestershire sauce has actually been in Devonshire. B, the Spanish call it salsa inglesa. C, its distinct flavor comes from anchovies and tamarind. Or D, a batch of Lay and Perrins has to ferment for at least a year and a half.
Which is not true.
One of these is not true. All the rest are true.
So
About Lay and Perrins.
the idea that they're in Devonshire is one, that it's sauce anglaise is two.
Right.
I'm losing myself here.
The flavor, the distinct flavor
Tamarind
comes,
and anchovy, and what's the fourth one?
a batch of Lay and Perrins has to ferment for at least a year and a half.
I believe it's at Devonshire. I don't believe it's made in Devonshire. I don't believe that has anything to do with anything.
Is that your final answer?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not only is your answer divine, it is in fact Devon. Well done, Leslie Hoban Blake.
Bravo.
Very good guess.
In fact, Lay and Perrins has always,
Merci.
yeah, the company has always been in Worcestershire. They started in one building, they moved to another, but since 1897, they've never moved out of Worcestershire. Oh, even though now they're owned by Kraft Heinz, which Potato always loves to hear about. Don't even ask. And Moshe's like, what? Okay, don't ask.
You know
It's
what's
okay.
interesting? I never realized. I knew the thing about the anchovies because there is now a vegetarian form of Worcestershire sauce, and the reason is that people who are vegetarians do not want the anchovy.
Or allergic
And I
to
would never
fish.
have known. I would never have known. I would have assumed it was a vegetarian thing to start with, but that came out a few years ago.
Very interesting.
This is the best story, though, about Lay and Perrins, and this is absolutely true. When they were trying to make a fish sauce. They were trying to create one, and they made it, and it was disgusting. So they kept it in the barrel, and they left it there. And they looked at the barrel like a year and a half, 2 years later, and they opened it. And I don't know what would make them think that it would be good. So let's try this again. It's been sitting here for 2 years. But they tried it, it had fermented, and like, oh, this is good. And that was literally the beginning of Lay and Perrins Worcestershire sauce.
They also could have died of ptomaine. My
I know.
God.
Who opens a barrel when it's
Maybe.
disgusting?
They were trying to poison someone, and he discovered that this tastes good.
That's right. That's right.
A natural-born mystery writer. Yes. Okay.
Well done, guys. Well, we have a 2-2 tie so far between Moshe and Leslie, but David Sheward hasn't gotten a question yet. Well, you actually got a question yet, but you who gets to go? Moshe gets to build on his lead if you get this correct.
Wait a minute.
Ready?
Are we? Oh, wait.
Yeah, you went first. Leslie goes second. Moshe goes third.
Oh, Moshe stole mine. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So here's the deal, Moshe. This is a new question type that we instituted a week or two ago, and it's called 3 Clues in the News. So this is a little different from the year and the trivia and the whatever. Totally different thing. It has to do with something that's kind of out there in the news. I'll give you 3 words. The words are not connected to each other. Each word is individually connected to the word that we are looking for. For example, if I were to say sweet couch vegetable, this is just an example, you might say,
Potato.
there you go. Sweet potato, couch potato, potato is a vegetable. So they're all connected, not to each other, but to the word. You got it?
Yeah, I think so.
So it'll be blank something something blank, or a synonym kind of a thing. Here we go. 3 clues and oh, you got a good one, my friend. Dust, front, shit.
Dust, front, shit. Just a minute. Should been. Oh boy, that's a good one. I mean, there's probably a time limit on how long I could think about it, right?
Kinda, we want to be off the air by 1 o'clock. So,
Hold on a second. Dust might. No. Dustbin, shit bin, front bin.
and the word that we're looking for is on some level in the news, or has been
in the news. I see.
The word is in the news.
Aha.
Dust, front, shit.
I can't come up with anything, to be quite honest with you.
Do you want to pass or take a?
I will pass.
Okay, I'm gonna roll the die. And
We suddenly have a pass noise. I never knew we had one.
I need something else. Like, what would be a pass?
I don't know. I just never knew we had one.
Oh, a pass sound?
There.
Oh, like you're passing, you know what?
Yeah, passing mouth.
Well, what else would it be with Dave? Come on. Are you really feeding him that stuff?
So I came up, by the way, with the number 4. I rolled the die, and the number 4 came up, which is closer to David Sheward. So, David,
okay.
I think you were nodding. You almost blurted it out.
Yeah, it seems he knows.
Well, I went like this, and I think I know what it is, but one of them doesn't quite fit, and I'm not sure I've got it right. But it is a word that's in the news, and so the one that comes to mind is storm.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, wow, I don't even have a
Really?
I should call you Gale because of Gale Storm, but that's not even a pun. I don't even know where I was going with that. So, but David Sheward, well done. Which one didn't you think fit?
Front.
Stormfront.
Stormfront.
Oh, okay.
The Billy Joel album, and you have Stormfront coming through.
Shitstorm,
Shitstorm.
Stormfront, shitstorm.
Yeah,
You've never heard the phrase shitstorm? Wow.
You may not have.
Peripherally.
Okay.
Okay. No, I agree. David nailed it 1,000 times better than I did. Yeah.
I think it's you hear it when it's a really lousy situation and everything goes wrong.
Yeah,
like
it's a shitstorm. Yeah.
I remember in Angels in America, the Roy Cohn character says, "It's a shitstorm in here," or "The world is a shitstorm," or something.
Yeah.
That.
Well, we have the opposite of a shitstorm here on Dave's Gone By because we have a tie. All 3 questions, each person that we were looking at, Moshe and Leslie and David, each has 2 points. This is exciting. I love when this happens. So we move on to round 4.
We should have those little horsies that move forward every time we get points, and you can cut away to that, and that's right. And we'll see who's ahead and whatnot.
I like when David said, "You should get out more." Thank you, David. Really. when the pandemic is over.
Are you speaking to me, Dave?
No, I was saying David said this was so exciting, and I said you should.
I see. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Well, I hope folks are enjoying this at home. You're watching Dave's Gone By, our Today Yesterday quiz. It's about 11:34 in the morning Eastern Time on our 813th show. We're calling it Mosh Pit.
Dave, that's a very clever title. Dave, did anybody ever tell you they enjoyed the show?
Never.
This our part of it?
Actually, it's become a lot of people's favorite segment of the show.
Really?
Which,
David, we're favorites. I love it.
It really is. This has become,
right.
I did it as a goof a couple of times, and then I was like, oh my God, people like this more than they like hearing me talk. So it goes. I took my lumps. Anywho.
They love your questions, Dave. They're so imprecise and all over the place.
Thank you. Yeah, keep it up, Leslie. Oh,
The perfect
you just
shitstorm
lost 3
question.
points, Leslie.
It's called creativity, Leslie. It's called creativity.
Thank you. Well, let's see how creative we get in our second round of the game with everyone tied and this question going directly to David Sheward. David, are you ready? It's a multiple
Wait, didn't
choice.
David just get that last question
I
directly?
stole it.
Yeah, he got it. He stole it from me.
Oh, he was a steal. I'm sorry. I do lose track. I
No, I get
have
it.
to be put on back on
Okay.
track every now and then.
Go ahead.
The year was 1884.
Okay.
David Sheward. A tornado, speaking of storms, a tornado ripped through the Dakota Territory today. It was
Okay.
notable because F.N. Richardson took a picture of it, the oldest known surviving photograph of a tornado.
Ah.
Which of these is not true about tornadoes? A. A 1943 tornado in Michigan stripped the feathers off 30 chickens without killing them. B. A 2017 tornado in Texas picked up half a dozen cows and put them down a quarter of a mile away without killing them. C. A 1957 tornado in New Jersey hit a drive-in movie theater just hours before it was scheduled to show The Wizard of Oz. Or D. In 1812, a tornado in Washington, D.C. helped American troops beat the British in the war.
Oh, those are all very interesting.
Only one of them is untrue.
And the first one sounds like a cartoon.
That's exactly what I thought, David. I didn't want to interrupt you. That's exactly what I thought. I could see them swirling.
And so it's chickens plucked without being killed, cows being moved without being killed.
Right.
The Wizard
Did you
of
say
Oz. The Wizard
Moved.
of Oz was about to be shown at
A drive-in that was hit by a tornado.
in 1957.
Right.
And a tornado helped us defeat the British in the War of 1812.
In a battle in Washington or something like that. Eh?
Well, I don't know. It could be any one of them. They all sound really interesting and true. And they're all strange enough. Like cows, like the chicken pluck, the feather plucking sounds like the weirdest and the most outlandish. And following the logic of Burrito Deluxe, and we'll call that the Burrito Deluxe rule from now on. That's the most.
I love that.
The Burrito Deluxe rule. That's the most outlandish. So it must be true. So the chicken plucking is the weirdest. I think that the cows is. I'll say the cows.
You say the cow thing is not true.
The cow thing is not true.
I'm blowing the horn. Okay, cow horn. That says you did not get that correct.
Okay.
David. So we have a steal opportunity. We're going to roll the die, and we're going to see who gets to try and steal this question. And the answer is, it came up number 3, which is David's direct number, but then closest to Leslie. So Leslie, you get a steal opportunity here. Here's the deal. In 1884, a tornado ripped through the Dakotas, first surviving photograph of a tornado taken today.
I would have said cows, David. I would have said cows. Logically, I would have said cows. But is that a cow? Wait.
No, it's an elephant. An elephant's being swept up.
I have a cow. I have a cow. Can you
Well, don't
see
have
my
a cow, man.
That's not a cow. Yes, that's a cow. It's Elsie. She's got horns and a.
She's so pretty.
That's utterly adorable. So, but Leslie,
And she shows up in crossword puzzles.
Oh, so,
Yes, I just did an old Wall Street Journal one with Elsie.
really?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you're just milking this too much. So, Leslie, here's the deal. Your question is one of these.
So I have chickens, tornado, the War of 1812, and what was the other one?
1957 tornado in New Jersey hit a drive-in movie theater just before they were going to be showing The Wizard of Oz.
What is not true? I don't remember tornadoes in New Jersey before climate change, which is now, it's almost 75 years ago. So I'm going to say that it was the New Jersey, the whimsical one about the Wizard of Oz and the tornado and the drive-in is not true.
Is that your
Whimsical, yes, true, no.
final answer?
Yeah,
Well, Leslie, like you are proving to be a wizard at this game because you got that right. You get 2 points.
Very good.
But here's the fantastic part. This is actually great. Let me tell you about all these answers.
thank you, Joyce, thank you.
The British were setting fire to the Capitol. They were in the midst of this in 1812, and they didn't realize. So they heard a storm was coming. They didn't realize what an American like Washington storm would be like, and it destroyed. I mean, it ended up turning the tide of the war of 1812 because it tossed their weapons and hit them and went crazy. But this is the greatest part of all. Yes, the drive-in movie thing was not true. However, in 1996, a tornado in Ontario, Canada, hit a drive-in movie theater just before they were going to show the movie Twister.
Oh.
So that actually was really true.
Wow.
That is.
Okay, I have to say something, please. The Hoban in my name that is in parentheses was my grandfather's last name. And we are like very distantly related to James E. Hoban, the man who designed the first White House, and then came back in 1812 to make the restorations after the war. So I just throw that into the mix for whatever it's worth.
Oh, for the White House, for the burning in the Washington. I thought you were going to say he also designed the first drive-in.
It's the War of 1812. No, he did not. It's the War of 1812. But I mean, he was there earlier than that as well. Also, we used to say that he was our 7th great grandfather, but I think we found that that wasn't true. We're much more distant than that.
Dave, yeah.
I was just about to say, also, there's a scene in the movie Twister where people are watching a drive-in movie and a twister comes through.
Oh, wow. So that's even.
That's what is it when it's beyond meta? What is that?
I know. Well, anywho, I got wind of this particular news here that Leslie is ahead with 4 points, and she is David and Moshe each with 2 points. But we are only in round 2. Anything can happen in the today, yesterday trivia game. This next question, though, goes to Leslie, so you can build on your lead. Yeah, you can build on your lead. Got it.
Right.
Lead.
And Leslie, pretty well salted away.
No, see.
Thank you.
Now, Leslie, you get 3 clues in the news. So
I hate those.
Oh, thank you. You're doing pretty well.
So I get them when they're other people's. I don't get them when they're mine.
It's the word jumble.
It takes a while to run them through your head, and it takes me longer than most, I guess.
Well,
go ahead, please.
Let's give it a try. This is 3 clues in the news. You know how it works. Moshe did one before. The words that are related to this other word are concert, pass, beer.
Say it again.
Concert, pass, beer.
I'm sorry, they make such sense. You go to a concert, you drink beer, and then you have to pass it. I mean,
remember, they're not related to each other.
That's not what you want. I know. So and I know this has to do with the concert in the park, and I don't have any idea. I can't come up with a word that suits all 3 of them. I'm sorry.
You want to pass?
I know one of you gentlemen will be able to do that. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me roll the die. And we come up with the number 4, which is right between David and Moshe. So I've got to roll again. This time we come up with the number 3, which is David's number. So okay. David Sheward, would you like to take a stab at the 3 clues in the news? Concert, pass, beer.
Concert, pass, and beer. Concert, pass, and beer. All right. So you're right. It probably has to do with the concert in Central Park. It was canceled because of the rain. But what word?
Did you just take off your pants, David? What was that?
No, I was sitting. No, I was sitting. My T-shirt was
Sure. We know.
the couch, and I was just moving it out of the
Well,
way.
the word
We
is
saw
shaka.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
We saw Jeffrey Toobin's New Yorker Zoom.
He may be the only one wearing pants in this group, so there you go.
All right, let me see here. Concert. Concert.
Pass. Beer.
Oh, well, wait. What was the second word again?
Pass.
Pass.
Yes.
Pass. Season?
Is that your final answer?
Beer. What's beer? Beer hall, beer mug, beer stein. I don't. The beer is the one that's got me, but a season. I'm going to say season.
I'm afraid your answer is out of season, David Sheward. That is not the correct answer. So, Moshe, this is your
I'm
question.
trying to think what was in the news that would relate to all these things. That's a season's not it. I mean, you talked about the concert in Central Park, which was canceled, but I don't know how what this would be. But I was also thinking of what goes with beer, like beer hall, beer mug, beer. Beer belly, but what is in the news? A whole belly.
I think you're thinking maybe a little too hard. No, not too hard about the news stuff. I'm just giving. No.
Oh, I see. So we shouldn't worry too much about the news then.
Not to give you a hint or whatever, but you're the guest, and so.
Okay. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Concert mug doesn't make sense. Concert rock concert. I don't know, rock. Beer rock beer. I don't know. All right. I have no answer, but I'm going to say rock because I have no answer. Rock.
And you should not have rolled with rock. That is not the correct answer. But here, this is what kills me. Both you and David Sheward said it.
Really?
You guys had it.
What was it?
Hall.
Hall?
Concert hall.
Oh.
Hall pass.
Hall pass.
Oh, hall
Beer
pass.
hall.
Why hall pass?
When you're in high
pass.
school and you get a hall pass to go to the bathroom.
You never had
Oh,
that in no?
We didn't call it that.
But where does the beer fit in?
Yeah, I
hall?
see.
Yeah.
Beer
Oh,
hall.
beer hall, of course.
They both said beer hall.
Beer hall.
Literally,
Beer
both said beer
Hall,
hall.
concert
And what
hall
if
is
the hall
easy,
was
but the
in the
pass
news?
hall I didn't get.
What's
Hall
the
in the
hall?
news. And if any of you had watched the first hour of the show, you know that I was talking about the death of Tom T. Hall, the legendary country performer
Okay.
who died like a week ago. So Hall in the news.
Okay, I guess you get the 2 points, Dave, don't
I
you?
do. Oh, I should. That's right. I should.
That's
get
right.
Hall.
Dave should play the game too. Dave can pick up all
I
the
would get
unanswered
nothing.
questions.
So here's the deal. Nobody got that, but that's okay. It means that, we're still in the middle of the second round. So we still have one more question, which will go directly to Moshe. So Moshe, you can still, in this round, have the opportunity to tie Leslie Hoban Blake. I can see how excited you are now about this
pumped
opportunity.
like nobody's business. Come on.
4 to 2, right?
Now, you
Yeah,
get the most horrible question of all on this particular one.
Hit
It's
me
a
with
multiple
the
choice.
question.
I'm sorry, the last one was the most horrible question, no matter what the next one is.
Oh, I don't think you'll say that, Leslie. Here we go. Moshe, the year was 1962.
Okay.
Dr. Geza de Kaplani, a Hungarian-born surgeon working in California, finds out his wife has been cheating on him, and his revenge is something out of Criminal Minds. What does he do? A, ties her to the bed, cuts her repeatedly with a scalpel, then pours acid on all the cuts, I warned you, Leslie. I told you. B, ties her hands to a tree, chains her legs to the back of his car, and floors it. C, you still think the last one is the worst, Leslie? C,
No,
cuts off her hand and sews it over her vagina. Or D, cuts out her eyes, puts them in an envelope, and puts the envelope in the mailbox of her lover's house.
Which one
of
is
these,
not true?
which
No.
of these is true? Only
Is
one of
true.
these is he actually did.
Okay,
The rest
go
is
over them.
plastic
Go
lie.
over them again, please.
Oh.
does he have to? I don't want to listen. La, 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 la,
Hold
la.
it.
Ah,
I don't want to hear this.
On a
It's
very,
about the
very
cuts.
hot summer day,
The cuts.
1962. I'll go over. He ties her to the bed, cuts her repeatedly with a scalpel, then pours acid on all the cuts. Or did he tie her hands to a tree, chain her legs to the back of his car, and floor it? C, cuts off her hand and sews it over her vagina. Or D, cuts out her eyes, puts them in an envelope, and puts the envelope in the mailbox of her lover's house. This happened on August 28th, 1962. Moshe, you want to take a...
Okay, I'm going to talk about the things that are too horrible are the eyes. It seems
They're not all too horrible.
Yeah, they're
One of them
all
is
too
just
but I'm
horrible
saying
enough.
we're getting into comparative analysis here of the horrors. At any rate, so no, I don't go with that. The cuts, that's interesting because little surgical cuts and then make it hurt. That's a possibility. Like really, the hand is a little bit crazy because he would have to, she would put up a fight. How do you actually, do, that's and then you'd have to anesthetize her to sew it to there, whatever. No, I'm not going with that. And as far as the car and flooring with the car, that's a gruesome murder. I think that he wanted revenge. I'm going to go with the cuts in the acid.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you took a stab at this question. Moshe, you get yourself 2 points because that is
Stab in the dark. You see,
Ah,
Leslie, I took the most logical sort of, humanistic under the circumstances.
Yeah. What happened was he cut her, he sliced her
Oy
up
vey.
alive,
Oh.
poured acid on all the cuts, and she lived long enough to give a statement to the police that allowed him to be captured, but she ended up dying a few days later.
Oh, really?
Joyce,
He died.
Joyce, you have to live with him. I don't.
I didn't do it!
you know what's really-
David, I swear to you, if you ever ask questions like this again, I will turn off my set because I'm going to have
really-
nightmares from this question.
Oh, no.
I
It's
swear
really
to you.
horrible.
Dave,
Oh.
that was a low blow, Dave.
I don't get it. I
I
don't get it.
do.
Low blow.
I got it.
Leslie,
Okay,
I agree.
Moshe, I got
Oh,
it.
like,
Leslie, I agree with you.
You
I
know
agree.
what's
with
really
you.
horrible?
What?
That what's really horrible is that you found this somewhere, right, David? And then you have to you made
Made
up
up the
Yeah,
other one.
That's the
Right.
horrifying
other
thing.
ones
Yeah.
that were
Listen to this imagination, David.
made up 3 other ones that were even more horrible.
Thank you. Actually, the one with the car was done in an episode of Criminal Minds. They did that to somebody.
Well, the one
And
with
so-
cutting off the hand and sewing it on her,
Yeah, I
Well,
thought
that's kind of counterintuitive. I mean, it leaves her alive, but it leaves her blocked up. So I don't know what the point.
Well, it doesn't
of that
necessarily mean
was.
she was alive when they found her. It could have been.
and the
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotham.
Yeah, Joyce. That's the thing. Joyce and I have been watching this series on Netflix called Gotham, which is a Batman prequel.
I watched that whole series. I love that series.
yeah.
There was so much cruelty and death in that show, and you're worried about my choices here.
It's based on a comic book, and I love the comic book. I
Okay.
mean, I have no problem with when I can translate it to comic horror, I'm okay. But you're
Yeah.
talking about real stuff that actually happened, and I
Yeah,
can't
it's
deal with
amazing.
that.
The stuff that happens in this world is
Yes.
stranger
I
than
know,
fiction.
I know,
Stranger
I
than
know.
fiction.
Horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's we have. So this is the end of the second round of our
Oh,
today.
congratulations, Moshe.
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Leslie.
yeah.
I wish it was for a more congenial question.
Yes.
We're all a little sick inside. Let's be honest. But we have one more round to go, and perhaps a tiebreaker to see who wins the game today. And our next round begins with David Sheward. Now, David, you get our other new item, our other new, also related to the news.
Okay.
We call it Mad Scramble. So it's sort of a jumble thing. We didn't. Oh, you were here last week.
Did we do this last week?
Yeah.
Yes,
And I think you got it.
Leslie
Yeah.
got it.
Or Leslie got it last week, I think. So
I
here-
got
All
it.
right.
I got it.
Okay.
David, I got
I
it.
got it.
Okay. You got it. Yes. Leslie's like, yes, I got that question. I can dine on this for years. I got that question.
She's
Remember
like,
on the
if you
show?
don't get it, I'll be getting it again.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
You
Leslie.
had this before? Well, you got it again.
Here we go.
All right.
David gets this question, something that happened in the news, and then the answer is also going to be a scramble of letters that I'm holding up. But
Do you
can't
have a
like-
magic marker this time?
Well, I forgot to do a magic
Because
marker.
you did it with a pen
Not
and
my
you
question.
couldn't
Don't
see
worry
it.
about it.
All right.
I can color it and give it to
You
me.
can
There we go.
complain if you get to steal.
Joyce is going to color in as I'm asking the question
No,
and
give
make
me,
it
give me
good.
you gotta like vamp a little bit.
So I'll vamp slowly. Matt Scram. Maybe he'll know the
I
answer.
can't. I'm not allowed to write it down, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, my marker's going out.
This singer-songwriter
Uh-huh.
lost in court this week
Oh.
when his former bandmates sued him for the right to use their music in a TV series. Here are the letters of
No, my marker's dying.
she's slowly coloring in this marker. So I'll read the question again. The singer-songwriter lost in court this week when his former bandmates sued him
It's like watching Dave have a stroke. I'm
What
sorry.
does a yellow light mean? Slow down.
Slow down. I remember from taxi.
What does a yellow
Big marker. I need a big
light?
marker.
We got it though.
Slow down.
Yeah. Everybody remember Reverend Jim from that was a great. Anyway, okay, here we go.
Who's doing King Lear, by the way?
Is he really? I mean, real life. I mean, is he? Yeah. Oh
I think
wow.
he's doing King Lear.
Christopher Lloyd is doing.
Yes.
Is doing.
Yes. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
He's not always playing Reverend Jim.
Have some sex.
So here's the deal. So okay, that was the question. Here's the answer. Being sued by his former bandmates for the right to use their music in a TV series. Here is the last name. OTRENT.
Singer songwriter. Okay. Rent, rot, not, nort, nor, rent, re, en, trento, tour, rata. If I were more of a rock and roll person, I would know this.
In tongues, David. Is that Hebrew?
Norent or re.
Hebrew.
Tren re ren ren trento ret et nen ner treto tet tor torrente
Thank you for doing all this work.
Yeah, thank you.
David is having a stroke.
rent ratat et
He's speaking Latin now.
Orator.
Yes.
I
got it.
I'm not a musician, so I'm not familiar with.
I think I got it.
All right, don't say it,
This is
Moshe.
David's kryptonite.
I'm not as familiar with rock and pop
It's your
music.
kryptonite, David. This is your kryptonite.
No, well, okay. Torrentro. I don't know. Torrentento.
Is that your final answer?
My final answer is Torrentento.
Known as Torrentento.
Yeah, so formerly known as I got no pun to make about it. I said no. No, it's not the correct answer, David Sheward. Moshe seems to know it, but
I think
will
Da-
he
I
get
think
the
David
role?
knew that
You
was
have to roll the
correct
dice.
So here's the deal. The roll goes to, came up with number 2. Leslie gets to steal.
Whoa.
Sorry, Moshe, but Leslie, maybe you know the answer to this question.
I don't have any more of an idea than David did. I went along with him on every one of his little side trips. So he went with one kind of thing. I will go with Sorry. They all sound like comic book villains. Or Gotham villains, if you will. I will do you the favor of not saying them out loud because they really drive you crazy.
That was funny. I think.
Oh, wait a minute. I have a name. I don't know if it's a real name or not, but Renato.
Is that your final answer?
The only word that I can make up. Renato. I never heard of him. If that is the person, I don't know who it is.
Well, is it Rayeso? No, it's Renato. Oh no, Leslie Hoban Blake. So Moshe, you seem to have the light bulb.
I think I got it. The name is Rotten.
Oh, Johnny Rotten.
I believe that's who it is.
Johnny Rotten was sued because there's a TV show called Pistol that wanted to use the music of the Sex Pistols, and the band was like, "Yes, we want money," and Johnny Rotten's like, "No, I'm not going to let you do it." And they sued and they won because he doesn't have more say so about the songs than they do. He was outvoted in a way.
Oh.
So Moshe, you are winning the game. You have 6 points.
I can't believe it. I can't, and I can't even travel to New York to get my prize.
That's
Prize?
good
What
because
prize?
That's good because there is no prize.
Oh, thank you. There's no prize. I don't have to
That's
travel.
wonderful.
And by the way, this program is not brought to you by Sev.
Yeah, amen.
Moshe, have you ever heard of this stuff? It's called Sev.
He's not South Asian. He's not gonna.
Masala of some sort. Huh?
It's actually it's made in Mexico, but it's a chickpea
South
snack
Asian tree.
that I've never heard of, and now I'm eating it. But it's called Sev, FYI.
Is it
Have you not
cold?
gone shopping lately? Is that the problem? I know there's stuff in the back of my closet too.
No, this is a friend of ours brought this from New Jersey, of all places. So, so here's the deal: we have a couple more questions in our round.
You're right there.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Moishe.
very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank
We have
you
more
very
questions though, so it's still, we have Moshe with 6 points, Leslie with 4, David with 2. Still, anybody could take this game. This question is going to be very, very important, and it goes directly to Leslie. So Leslie, you can tie right here. It is a multiple choice question. 1963, August 28th was the day. At the Lincoln Memorial, Martin Luther King delivers his I Have a Dream speech. It was on this date.
Oh, today.
According to Healthline.com, which of these is not true about dreams? A, you're more likely to dream about sex if you sleep face down. B, when we dream, most of our muscles become paralyzed.
Oh.
C, during the holidays, people are more likely to dream about dead loved ones.
Ugh.
Or D, nightmares are most likely to occur about halfway through your sleep cycle.
Okay, Dr. Freud.
One of these is not true
It's not true. Okay.
about dreams.
Sex on your belly. What's the next one?
Rather personal.
When we dream,
Just making it work in my head. Sex on your stomach, if you prefer. Go ahead.
When we dream, most of our muscles become paralyzed.
Wow.
During the holidays, people are more likely to dream about dead loved ones. Or D, nightmares are most likely to occur about halfway through your sleep cycle.
I'm going to go with this lying on your stomach dreaming about sex. It's not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, sorry to be a pain in the ass, Leslie, but that is not the correct answer. Apparently, it is true. If you're sleeping that way, you are more likely to dream About Whoopi. Yeah, well,
Like if you like being on top.
I was going along with you there, Leslie.
What's the
So-
secret?
I do just fine sleeping on my back and having dreams about sex. So I can
Wolfgang.com.
only go from personal experience. What else can I tell you? Okay.
Wolfgang.com is not legit. This is not legit.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, according to this website, which
Okay.
seems legit-ish. So
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay. Thanks for the qualifier.
Why don't we all try it tonight?
Okay.
I can it sort of makes sense because if you're lying in your stomach, then you know what.
Only if you're a guy, sweetheart.
A bottom, yeah. Well,
You like being a top, as they say.
You're the top.
You're
I'm
the
the
top.
bottom. Yeah.
David, this is 2021. Though, let's be
You need condoms. I got them. All right, here we go.
Let's be more embracive of diversity in
Absolutely.
one's expression of sexuality.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to embrace the number that we just rolled, which is number 4, which is, let's see, who's 4? 4 is closest, is between David and Moshe. So actually we have to roll that one again. So this time it comes up number 3, which is directly David Sheward. So
Okay.
David.
So actually, I was going to go with the sex thing too, like always.
No, but what about the quiz?
When in when in doubt, go with the sex thing.
That's what you
So
said.
you
Yes.
have left, because all the rest of them sound true. I believe that your muscles are paralyzed most of your muscles are paralyzed when you're dreaming. So that's that. And the other ones were, what were the other ones?
Letter C, during the holidays, people are more likely to dream about dead loved ones. Or D, nightmares are more likely to occur about halfway through your sleep cycle.
They all sound like very plausible because during the holidays, you are consciously maybe thinking about dead loved ones, and then that might invade your dreams.
And actually, if you sleep on your stomach during the holidays, you think about having sex with it.
Dead relatives, yeah.
Hey,
You're too stiff to
Oh.
Well, you're stiff in the wrong way, yeah. So, it was moving again, yes. So
Let's see. Actually, okay, so maybe so with the burrito deluxe thing, the rule, no, the burrito deluxe rule is something that's so outlandish it can't be true. So the opposite of that is if it sounds logical, it must be false. So I'm going to go with the dead relatives.
is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, David, I'm sorry to make you cry, uncle, but that is not the correct response that we were looking for.
Okay.
So we have another steal opportunity here.
well, I'm lucky. I just have 2 to choose from. I have a 50% chance of winning here.
Yes.
You
Well,
do.
the two remaining ones are the nightmares in the middle of your sleep cycle and the
When you dream, your muscles become paralyzed.
okay, when you dream, your muscles are paralyzed.
Most of them, not all, but most of your muscles become paralyzed.
I'm going to go that I'm going to say that the incorrect one is that when you dream, your muscles get paralyzed, because REM is what you dream and your muscles are moving. It's rapid eye movements. So your muscles are not paralyzed. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say that is incorrect.
Well, let me just muscle in here with the answer. Moshe! Oh, I'm so sorry. You all. I guess I stumped the panel on that.
Wow.
Well, if your muscles weren't paralyzed when you're dreaming, you would be falling out of bed and running and killing people and doing it. It's intentionally to keep us safe. That not every muscle, most of our muscles are paralyzed.
I see.
When you dream, amazingly enough, or nightmares are more likely to occur in the final third.
I also thought that originally, but I don't know. Anyways, look, Dave, you just got the 2 points again.
I know. I could win this game. I'm getting up there, but you still
I
have
just wanted
points.
to say something about nightmares and whatnot. I took a class once, believe it or not, and had nothing to do with that. It had to do with brain waves and whatnot.
Oh.
And one of the things that I learned was that you can wake yourself up out of a nightmare.
How?
You say to yourself, "This is a friggin' nightmare." In
Yeah.
other words, you have that ability when you're asleep to wake yourself, to say, no, I'm not running the bulls at Pamplona, and I'm not about to get gored. I'm lying in my bed and I'm asleep. And then you can wake up. And actually, it has worked more often than not, because once you put that into your head, it's there, and you can make it work. Try it the next time you have a nightmare, if you have a nightmare.
Well,
I stopped having nightmares years ago, so I don't know.
But I'll try to. I have to watch a Pauly Shore movie. I'm like, this is, I don't know.
Yes.
Anywho, we have one more question.
Nightmares and Pauly Shore. I agree with you. Yes.
No, I'm just teasing. I think Leslie, you still have the a chance to win this game depending on how this question goes. But Moshe,
but no pressure here.
Yeah, no pressure at all. But the thing is, this question first goes to Moshe, who can put this game away right here.
Oh, is this the end of the game? Oh my goodness! Then he's already
One
won.
of the 2 rounds.
Yeah, and it's only 10 afternoon. on a segment that was originally conceived to run a half hour. I don't know how this happens.
What happened to us? Is it something that I said?
No, this happens every week. It usually ends up, I say, 40 minutes, and then like an hour and 20 minutes later.
Yeah, that's what my publicist said.
We don't have
40-minute trivia quiz. What the heck? I'm having a great time. What do you want?
Good.
We're having a fabulous time having you here. But here's your question. And this is more straight up old-fashioned trivia right here.
Oh, okay.
So this is for the game. Moshe. The year was 2019. 5 months after announcing her presidential run, this Democratic candidate withdrew from the race. Name this former lawyer and congressman and current New York senator.
Let me see. No, it's not Klobuchar. She's not the senator from New York. What's the name of that? Gillibrand? I think that's her. Gillibrand.
Is that your final answer?
That's the best answer I can come up with.
Well, I like your brand of answering, Moshe. It was Kristen.
I'm Canadian.
Well done.
I got it. Yeah.
And you're not even a New Yorker in the group, or I mean, you have a Flatbush cousin or something.
I'm an honorary New Yorker because my mother grew up in Flatbush, and I spent every Hanukkah, Christmas time in New York in my youth. So New York is another home of mine in this world, I must say. I love New York.
You now have a home on the throne of Dave's Gone By, because no matter what happens with the tiebreaker, which we'll do anyway, Moshe, in your very first appearance on Dave's Gone By or playing the game, you're the winner. You're like,
beginner's luck.
Whatever you don't know how some people have come on here and they're like 0 points or 2 points or they beg for a point. You come on here and just
what I love is he started by saying, "But I'm Canadian and I won't know this," right? And that was so nice try, mister. Nice try. We got your number. David, what are you doing? I'm gonna get nauseous.
No, it's like
David's walking around his house. He's hungry already.
What are you doing?
I'm getting a piece of paper.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because even though it doesn't matter, even though
doesn't count for
let's finish off nice. Yeah.
We're going to do the tiebreaker anyway, just for funsies to see if you get it. And the tiebreaker, Moshe, works a little bit differently. Yeah. It's still, I ask a question, but instead of individually saying the answer, you're going to write down your answer. And then I'll say the question again, give a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and after the countdown, you hold up the piece of paper to the camera so that this way everybody gets to answer the question at the same time. So everybody
we should write big.
Write big, write clear. Use magic marker like my wonderful.
Well, I got a pen, but I'll write big.
And yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll get it. So are you all ready with your pens and your papers?
Yes.
And your sleep cycle. Yes. And your acid. Here we go. Tiebreaker question. The year was 2017. Matt Vogel makes his TV voice debut. Vogel is only the third person to voice this character since 1955, when the character debuted on a regional TV show called Sam and Friends, created by a home economics major at the University of Maryland. Name that character.
1955.
Yeah. I see David writing. I see the pen's down elsewhere, but oh yeah, I think we stumped David on this one.
Could you repeat the clue once?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll read it again, or I'll read it even before, but it's 2017 was the year. Matt Vogel makes his TV voice debut. Vogel is only the third person to voice this character since 1955, when that character debuted on a regional TV show called Sam and Friends, which was created by a home economics major at the University of Maryland. Name that character.
Okay.
Okay, I got my answer.
I'm going to read it one more time. And what I'll do is after I read it, I'll give a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then everybody at the same time hold up your pieces of paper. Matt Vogel, 2007, makes his TV voice debut. He's only the third person to voice this character since the character's debut in 1955 on a regional TV show called Sam and Friends, created by a home economics major at the University of Maryland. Name that character. 3, 2, 1. I see Big Bird, I see Yosemite Sam, and David Sheward with Kermit the Frog. Leslie, we're on the right track.
David's right.
You
David's
got it.
right.
It was Kermit, that economics major, or I'm sorry, that the home ec major was Jim Henson and his girlfriend, soon to be wife. They created that character Kermit. You can go on YouTube and watch, and they're really
Do
fun.
you know that he had 3 felt children?
Kermit had 3 felt. No, I didn't know that.
No, Jim Henson and his wife had 3 felt children. Never mind.
I get it. Because the
Never
Muppets were
mind.
made out of felt.
No, that was horrible. They were felt by Jeffrey Epstein. It was.
Well, bravo, David. That was really good. I guess I wasn't up on that history.
Was Jim Henson's wife a home economics major, or Jim Henson was a home economics major?
They both were. They took classes together at the University of Maryland. That's where they met. And she helped them, and they created Sam and Friends, which was a show in '55, years before Sesame Street. And he did.
Do they show American Sesame Street in Canada, or do they have their own?
Oh yeah, we saw Sesame Street all the time. We saw the Muppets. You see, the thing that's really different between Canada and the U.S., we get all your stuff. You don't see any of ours.
Except Second City.
That's not true. That's not true. There are several Canadian series, and the reason there are 2 reasons. One is it's less expensive to shoot there, and number 2.
Oh no, that's true.
And number 2, a lot of British companies shoot there, and we get there like the Murdoch Mysteries and whatnot.
Oh, you get Murdoch?
We do.
We get Murdoch, we get Midsummer, we get Frankie Drake, we get all of that.
Midsummer is British. It's not Canadian.
No, it's Murdoch Mysteries is Canadian. It's a Canadian production. But you know what you really get that became huge? Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Schitt's Creek got huge in the United States.
And
the levies.
I was in Canada once several years ago and happened to be watching Sesame Street, and they had a lot of American segments, but they also inserted Muppets speaking French and
did they?
And teaching French to the kids.
And they also turned them into the Donut Monster. So it was a very different kind of aesthetic there. Eats hockey sticks. It's a very Canadian version of the.
Right.
We like cookies, eh?
Well,
congratulations,
got to be in there.
Moshe, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes, winner.
I'm the winner. Thank you so much. Look, it's been a wonderful time spending this Shabbos morning with you.
Yes.
And I really thank you, Dave. And it was a gas, it was a gas. So
I'm so glad you had a great time. Let me remind people that if you want to hear Moshe's band, which is actually called Tzimmes, and Tzimmes has a double CD set out that you can buy as a CD set, or you can also get it at. You mentioned it wasn't Amazon yet. It was, what was the other?
Well,
place?
it's Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, but the best thing is just to go to the Tzimmes website. You have all the instructions there, a click here, a click there. You can even listen to some things ahead of time from the album. And if you want to spell it out again, it's tzimmes.net. Here, I'm going to write it out.
In magic marker, in big letters, so that everybody can unscramble.
Yeah,
Scramble the letters. So MES. While he's doing that, let me remind people that David Sheward writes for culturaldaily.com. He also writes for theaterlife.com, as well as his own blog, The David Desk. So, David, what did you review this week? Passover, I assume?
Yes, was that, I guess, it opened on, was it Sunday? Yeah, it opened on Sunday. It seems like a long time ago now. I reviewed Passover, which I thought was a very exciting production. Very interested to see, and it's a limited run, so it's not. They don't have to worry about whether or not they need to be a commercial hit. And it was very exciting to be back in a Broadway theater after all this time. And I received press on some off-Broadway shows, which I'll be seeing in September. So I'm looking forward to that.
Super.
And on the David Desk, I've been continuing a series of blog posts about everything I've seen in my 50 years of going to the theater. And so this week I did hear all the Shakespearean tragedies I've seen and little anecdotes about them, and hear all the Shakespearean comedies.
Whoa. The David
You can
Desk.
do that in one blog? My God, it would take days.
Well, like in one blog post, I put, here all the Shakespearean tragedies that I've seen. And then the next one was the Shakespearean comedies.
I see.
And you're doing it in sonnet form, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, and then I'll do the histories.
We leave the sonnets to you, Dave.
When I do have,
sorry.
in the past, I did do a Shakespearean satire called McTrump, which is also on there.
So it's all there at the David Desk blog. And then for solely the theater stuff, go to culturaldaily.com and theaterlife.com. Leslie Hoban Blake, you are now again doing new episodes of the podcast, the video podcast, that is Critic Circle on YouTube. Did you have a new one this week, or what?
We're shooting. We're in the middle of shooting one. We're doing episode 6 of Schmigadoon, because we saw the first 5 and we reviewed that. We need to go back and speak about episode 6. Beyond Broadway's Golden Age, that wonderful Rick McKay
Documentary.
Documentary. Thank you. And Shiptafaz Kohen, which I have now seen since its inception about almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
And this is the way it was done at the Irish Rep. And you can still I think you can still go online and see it, maybe through today.
Oh boy.
I think it's well worth seeing through August 28th anyway.
Folks, all you have to do is go to YouTube and look for the Critics Circle channel with Leslie and our mutual friend Charlie Gross to hear their reviews of these shows online and in person too. So all that remains for me is to thank all 3 of you, including our new winner, Moshe, who is holding up, is that Tzimmes? CTIMMES.net. Yeah. Yeah, well, don't stew over it. That's a little Tzimmes joke right there. Thank you guys so much. Moshe, please come back and play. When you have several hours free, please come back and play the game. You were absolutely delightful.
Well, thanks a lot.
And
it was great to be with you guys. You take care of yourselves.
Enjoyed meeting you very much.
Yes.
Bye-bye. I've got to let you all go individually because that's how Zoom works. So thank you, Moshe.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom to you.
Shalom.
Bye-bye.